Have you ever noticed that the tension in your shoulders shows up on Monday morning before your alarm? Before you've even thought about the week ahead? You haven't checked Slack yet, you haven't opened your laptop, but something in your chest already knows, even if you don't. And honestly, that's not really anxiety you're feeling. That's something older than that. So today, let's sit with something most of us were never taught the language for. The idea that your body starts logging burnout months, sometimes years before your mind catches up. You might still feel functional on a Tuesday. The work might even look fine from the outside. But underneath, what you've been carrying has been recorded. There's research now that suggests your body files the complaint long before you ever say the word burnout out loud. Let's start with the wake-up signal, because this one tends to surprise people. Researcher Christina Maslach, who's studied burnout for over 40 years, helped establish something most of us honestly get backwards. We tend to assume burnout means your stress hormones are spiking constantly, flooding your system, keeping you running hot all the time. But that's not really what the research shows. In long-term burnout, cortisol often drops, specifically the morning surge that's supposed to wake you up and get you moving. That surge becomes blunted even when you really need it. A 2014 study in the Journal of Psychosomatic Research compared clinical and non-clinical burnout against healthy controls. Both burnout groups showed lower morning cortisol for the first 30 minutes after waking. What that means in plain language is that your body's wake-up signal has been pressed for so long that it's starting to flatten. You're not anxious anymore. You're not even wired. You're just well-dimmed. That's not laziness. That's a nervous system that's been on call too long, and you've been the call. Then there's the heart, and this one's harder to ignore once you've actually heard it. Research by Sharon Toker and Samuel Melamed, published in Psychosomatic Medicine in 2012, followed nearly 9,000 healthy employees for over 3 years. If you scored in the top 20% of burnout, you had a 79% increased risk of coronary heart disease. That's not, by the way, a typo. 79%. And it kind of gets quieter and bigger. In 2021, the World Health Organization and the International Labor Organization released a joint analysis of working hours. They found that if you work 55 hours a week or more, your stroke risk goes up by 35%. So here's the part no one really tells us. Your heart doesn't wait for you to call it overload. It just starts adjusting. Your sleep gets shallow. Your resting heart rate doesn't quite come back down on weekends, even when you tell yourself it's a rest day. That's not just Monday anxiety. That's the slow rewriting of your baseline, the one you didn't notice changing. And then there's the blood. A 2005 study by Toker and colleagues in the Journal of Occupational Health Psychology found that burnout was independently associated with elevated C-reactive protein and fibrinogen. Those are essentially inflammation markers, the same ones doctors watch when they're worried about your heart. This isn't a substitute for talking to a doctor about your health, but the pattern is worth knowing. In plain terms, chronic work stress shows up in your blood before it shows up in your therapy session. The throat tickle that arrives the day your project closes. The cold that somehow lasts 2 weeks instead of 3 days. The flu you keep catching every few months that honestly doesn't quite track with your habits. You probably thought you were just unlucky with your immune system this year. Chances are you're really not. Your body has been spending its resources on keeping you functional at work. There isn't much left for fighting off whatever's going around the office. That's not weakness. That's a budget problem your body has been running quietly while you weren't watching. And finally, there's what your body has been saying out loud in signals that don't sound psychological at all. Tension in your jaw, tightness that shows up before a meeting that isn't even hard, The gut grumble that picks up every Sunday afternoon, and the shallow sleep that doesn't quite refresh you even when you've logged 8 full hours. In organizational psychology research, these somatic markers often show up months before the depersonalization stage of burnout. You may not feel cynical about your work yet. You may not feel distant from it. But your shoulders, your gut, your sleep, they've already been carrying the conversation for you. Truthfully, maybe what's happening is your body just learned the pattern faster than you did. It noticed who drained you. It picked up on which meetings cost more than they returned. It even logged which days you really should have rested. And well, it's been keeping receipts on you the whole time. Here's how this lands in a real Tuesday. You wake up. You don't feel tired exactly, but you don't feel rested either. By 8, you're somehow already behind. By 11, you've had 2 coffees and the shoulder thing is back. 3 o'clock comes around and you can't quite remember what you were trying to focus on at 10. You tell yourself you'll go for a walk at 5, and you don't. By 9, you're on the couch, kind of just staring, and you can't really say what you actually accomplished. That's not laziness. That's just depletion with a calendar. Take a breath. This one matters. The body knows. It just doesn't speak in words. It speaks in tightness in sleep, in heart rate, in the cold that took you 2 weeks to shake instead of 3 days. If something has dropped in your chest while you've been listening, that's not really anxiety. That's recognition. So you don't actually need a productivity hack for this. You need permission to listen to what your body's been trying to say while your mind was busy hitting deadlines for you. Notice the shoulders. Notice the gut. Notice the breath you've been holding since Monday. The body filed the complaint a long time ago. Today's the day you finally read it.